So you're thinking about making a move to Auburn, Washington, but you're not sure if it's really affordable. Well, in this video, we're going to solve that exact question for you. We're going to walk you through the exact cost of living right here in Auburn, Washington, and we're getting after it right now. Hey, Chris, myself, and our team, we're getting phone calls, texts, and emails every single day from people just like you looking to make their move to right here in beautiful Auburn, Washington. So whether you're looking at making a move in 3 days or 3 months, shoot us a phone call, text, or an email so that we can help you make that smooth move out here to Auburn. And of course, if you want to know what's going on in our local market, hit that subscribe button so you can be the first one to know what's going on. So when it comes to looking at the cost of living in Auburn, one of the things we're going to look at right here is going to be the cost of what housing is like in Auburn. And you can tell right here it says the average cost of a home is about $578,000. So that, if we compare that next to Seattle, what we're going to see is that it's about $400,000 cheaper to buy a home in Auburn than it is in Seattle. And the other great thing about Auburn is if you look at this increase over the past 3 years, it was about $415,000 back in 2020. And even with a huge market slowdown, it's still sitting at about $580,000. So ultimately, Auburn is a great investment and an awesome place to live. So one of your most major costs of living is going to be your groceries and the food that you end up buying here in Auburn. So today I'm here in Safeway. We're just gonna take a look at some of the food and some of kind of what things cost here as far as groceries, so that you can get an idea. Now, when my wife goes shopping, I can tell you that we're spending $250 to $300 a week, but we do have a pretty large family. So yours might not be that extreme, but let's go ahead and just take a look at what some of these prices are for groceries here in Auburn. I would say give yourself between $1,200 to $1,500 a month for groceries for your cost of living here. So of course, being close to the coast, we have a lot of fresh seafood. See, steelhead is about $13.99, $10.99 salmon. So kind of an idea of some of your meats here. Let's see, bacon is gonna be about $6.99 a pound. Chicken breast, $5.49. Of course, that is the deli, not packaged, fresh stuff. So if you wanted to buy frozen, then it should be a little cheaper than that. Now we cruise over here into like salad. Let's see here, salad mix is gonna be about $3.49, $3.49. Baby spinach is $3.29, a little cheaper. Garlic's $5, $1.49 for avocados. Apples, of course, which are grown here in Washington, are about $2.29 a pound. So that's pretty good as far as what you're gonna look at spending when it comes to groceries. Again, I'm gonna say somewhere between $1,200 and $1,500, depending on how you shop. Now, of course, there are better options. There are places like Winco that is a little cheaper. There are places like Grocery Outlet that's gonna be a little cheaper, but it really just depends on your vibe, what you shop for, and what's important to you.
Guys, we're here at Emerald Downs. This is a pretty cool place to hang out, do some fun activities, kind of in the summer months. They do racing here live between May and September every single year. Cost to get in here is actually pretty inexpensive for the most part. You're only about $5 for a youth ticket, $10 for a general admission ticket. So that'll get you in the door. Obviously you got to pay for snacks, drinks, all that kind of stuff. If you want to do some gambling, putting some money down on the ponies, that's going to cost you a little bit extra. But just to come out here, enjoy an afternoon of horse racing, pretty inexpensive and a really, really fun place to hang out on a cool summer day. Some of the other forms of entertainment here kind of in the Auburn area are, you've got the Auburn Outlet Collection, which is kind of the super mall area here in this area. So you've got shopping, restaurants, shops, all that kind of stuff around in there. You can spend anywhere from $5 to just kind of walk through and hang out to God knows how much at, you know, some of the higher end stores there. So that's totally up to you. There's also, you know, tons of movie theaters here in the area, some outdoor activities that you guys could do here. Out to the east, you've got Flaming Geyser State Park. They've got some amazing hiking there. You can hang out right by the river, float the river. There's tons of inner tubing, you know, kind of from the beginning entrance of the park all the way down to the bottom. You can do that for free. You know, all it takes is, you know, just some admission to get into the park. You know, they do charge a day pass, or if you have to have a discovery pass, that's usually the cheapest way to go, is just to get the discovery pass for the year, and then you can go into any of the state parks here in Washington State. So
Right here behind me, this is Auburn High School. The class size on average is 19.5 students. Now, while Auburn High School probably has a lower student to teacher ratio than the area you're coming from, it also has a lower utility cost than most schools. And that's what I want to talk about now in this video, is utility cost here in Auburn. Utility costs in Washington in general are going to be cheaper than many places. And people always ask me, like, Austin, how in the hell could Auburn have a lower utility cost than out here in Kansas, because everything is so much cheaper here? But the reality of it is that we do not use the extreme amount of utilities as a lot of other places. You see, right now it's the middle of summer and it's 74 degrees. You could wear a hoodie right now. So you certainly don't need to be blasting your air conditioner at full blast. And our winters, you know, don't really get too crazy. It's like that 35 to 50 in the winter, so your heater's not really cranking. Frankly, for me, I have a little gas-powered fireplace. I flip that bad boy on and I'm pretty well set through the entire winter. So that being said, your utilities, if you're scaled at, you know, 100 being the level for the United States, Washington, and more particularly Auburn, is going to come out at about a 79. So guaranteed, pretty much no matter where you're moving from, you're gonna save money on your utility costs. We do have gas, we do have electric. You're gonna see, you know, very rarely propane. Most cities have sewer. Some places out here do have septic, so that can save you a little bit more money, or maybe cost you a little bit more money. But ultimately, in the end, if you look at the averages, your cost of living as far as utilities go out here in Auburn are gonna be a heck of a savings. My bills on average come in at about $155 a month, whereas my bills in Missouri could be upwards of $350, even $400. Heck, a buddy of mine in Houston was just talking on his YouTube video and said he just had a $600 electric bill. Holy cow, that's freaking nuts. All right, there you go. So now you know what utilities are like. All right, so Auburn is known for one thing pretty much locally, and that is having this place right here, the Auburn Outlet Collection. It's pretty much the best outlet mall in the greater Seattle area in general. There's everything from Nike to Polo, Tommy Hilfiger, whatever you can imagine. They pretty much have an outlet here. The one thing I would like to see is if Lululemon ever wants to have an outlet, y'all should drop one right here in Auburn. But with that said, prices are going to be pretty comparable to anywhere else in the country. But where you're going to see a big difference is you're going to see a big difference in your taxes. That's exactly what we're talking about. Taxes in Washington State. So first of all, when it comes to your state income tax, Washington is one of 7 states that does not, okay, I repeat, does not hit you with any form of a state income tax. And this is fantastic because you get to keep a little bit more money in your pocket every single month. But you know the government, they're always going to find a way to get their hands on the money. And that's kind of where coming in here, shopping, hitting all that up, the sales tax is going to come into play. taxes in Washington for sales tax sit at about 6.5%, but all of our localities have different rates that they apply on their own. So your sales tax here in Auburn is going to be somewhere closer to about 10.2% on pretty much any item that you end up buying. There's a little bit of an increase in sales tax on gas. And of course, we're going to cover fuel and transportation costs here a little bit later on in the video. Now, sales tax is going to make up a huge portion of your taxes, but the other side is going to be your tax on your home. Now, the national average would be roughly 1 to 1.25% sales tax. Luckily, Washington comes in a little bit lower at 0.84 on your property tax on your home. The only real downside with this is that properties in Washington cost substantially more than they do other places. So overall, when it comes to taxes, they're basically a wash. You're not gonna have your income tax for the state, but you're gonna get hit with a higher sales tax. You're gonna have a lower than average property tax on your home, but as we discussed in the housing portion, you're gonna be paying more for your house here in Auburn than you would in most parts of the country. So overall, kind of becomes a flush situation.
We're talking about healthcare costs right now. So coming to you from the Auburn Regional Medical Center right here. We've also got the emergency department kind of right across the way here. So on average, Auburn kind of ranks a little bit below what the average costs are. So if you think of average healthcare costs being 100 on a national average, Auburn ranks at about 88 on that scale. So it's a little bit below the national average on what healthcare costs are going to be. The greater Seattle, Tacoma, Western Washington area are typically, people are more healthy in this area because we have a lot of outdoor activities, lots of hiking, biking, all kinds of water sports, different things to do outside. Average costs for medical expenses could be, doctor's visits are typically going to run you about $115 for an appointment. Dentist appointment is typically going to run you about $100 for an appointment. So that's some of the costs that you could expect to spend when going to the doctor or the dentist here in the Auburn area. Other things that are factors when it comes to healthcare, really it depends on the health insurance that you have. So it's hard for us to quote exactly what those costs are going to be because health insurance plans vary so greatly. Now, a cool thing that Washington State does have for your health plans is the Apple Healthcare or Apple Health Plan Finder website. That's the open marketplace for health insurance here in Washington State. So that's where you're going to find different places to be able to purchase your healthcare options or your health insurance options, I'm sorry. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about that, we'd be happy to link you up with some of our service providers out here. We've got some great connections with insurance providers, folks that help us choose our health plans on a yearly basis. So we've got those connections to help you guys have those conversations. Give us a call, shoot us a text, schedule a Zoom call. We want to talk to you guys. We want to answer those questions, help you with anything that you guys have as far as things you want to know when you're considering Auburn, Washington, or Western Washington, greater Seattle, Tacoma area.
Here we are at the Auburn train station. This is the Sounder train, which runs from here to Tacoma or from here to Seattle. They're both about 4 stops and 20 miles each way. Now, a ticket here for this transportation is going to be somewhere between $2 and $5, depending on the time and actually where you're going. And again, though, this is a commuter train, meaning it's primarily designed for you to go to work. So don't be looking for rides on the Sounder on the weekends. Now, if you're not going to take a train like this, then you're obviously probably going to be taking your car. And Washington is actually one of the worst states in the entire country to own a vehicle because of the hardship on the vehicle. Between constant construction, rocks being thrown at your windshield, rainy weather, and then super dry weather. And if you're on the east side, well, now you've got sand and desert and all the shit that goes along with that. You're going to be paying more to get your car serviced than you would in a lot of other areas of the country. So I would say definitely budget a little bit of money in every single month, probably about $150 just for repairs to your car, oil changes, and things like that. When you make it to the gas pump, this is also where you might see a little bit of a difference. In the recent months, Washington has actually surpassed California as the most expensive state to buy gas, and I'm not thrilled about it. But right now, gas is gonna typically run higher than it does through the rest of the country. So you can expect to pay somewhere between $4 and $5 a gallon for gas here in Washington. So transportation can get a little pricey. We do have options like the buses there that can dramatically cut down on your expenses when it comes to transport here in Washington. So I highly suggest that you take advantage of those when you can. All right, so now you have a little idea kind of what transportation costs are. Let's go find out what else it takes and what it costs to live here in Auburn.